How are you doing, gardeners? Ed Snyder with Fresh Picked Acres. I thought I'd bring you along on this short little video. I got a great example of a sweet corn plant, and I wanted to talk about is what stage is my corn at today? That's probably a question for a lot of gardeners out there. Whether you want to be adding some fertilizer at V6 or V9 or V7, and what are they talking about? Well, let's get into it in this episode. So the sweet corn plant is a wonderful plant, wonderful bit of science right here of how it grows. This is a great example where it's starting to show all of the attributes. Look at how much is actually growing below the ground compared to above. It's probably 75% of the plant is below the ground here, and showing that this is really active. Now, to talk about the V stages in our corn, this is a very easy way to remember this. If the corn has a collar on it, that's a V, V1. We have a collar on this. You can see the collar coming. It kind of reminds me of the old disco days, right? Where you have the collar that sticks out. That's V2. I do not have a collar on the next leaf or the next leaf. So even though I have 4 leaves, this particular corn is at the V2 stage, just to let you know. Now, the other thing about this plant is above the ground, we may be looking at it and saying, you know, gosh, the corn's just sitting there. It's not really doing anything. Well, there's probably quite a bit going on below the ground. Again, at our emergence, we have our radicle and seminal roots are going to be forming, and nodal roots are going to be forming, mesocotyl roots are going to be forming. So all of this is going on below the ground, and so that's the reason why it's so important that we plant this no deeper or no shallower than 1 3/4 inches, and ideally at 2 inches of planting depth. That's where we want our seed to be at 2 inches planting depth. The other side of the coin on this corn is I want to talk about is here's the soil line on the plant. Look at how close that root system begins. If any of this gets severed at this stage, you lost your corn. Most of the time, you could use as a rule of thumb that you don't want to cultivate any closer than the drip line of the corn. Think about that as you're hoeing through the field or running the tiller through your garden. You don't want to have it any closer than the drip line. So in other words, as a young boy, I was instructed to go with the hoe and hill it up. So in other words, I'd run the hoe right in this zone and throw the dirt on top of the stalk as I went down through the field. This is a great time to go ahead, and when we're going to add if you're going to add urea or a different type of nitrogen source, you want to put it right around this zone here. You don't want to get it right in here for fear you may be cutting your root supply off of your plant. Just to give you an idea of what's out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tip. Like always, hit that like and subscribe and come grow with us.